Have you ever come home to chewed up furniture, your neighbours whinging about your dog barking all day, or a dog who starts falling apart the moment you pick up your keys to leave? You've probably been told the same thing: separation anxiety. And there's a good chance you've tried some version of the same advice. Leave a Kong in the crate, put a worn t-shirt in the bed, turn the radio on, start with short absences and gradually build them up. Maybe it helped a little bit, maybe it made no difference whatsoever. Maybe things even got worse. Here's why that happens and what's actually going on with these dogs. Because separation anxiety is one of the most commonly misdiagnosed and most poorly addressed problems in the pet dog behavior. Almost all of it comes down to the fact that people are treating a label rather than understanding what's actually happening. Real separation anxiety is a specific clinical condition. It's a panic response. The dog's nervous system goes into genuine alarm state when separated from the people they're attached to. It isn't spite. It isn't a training problem in the conventional sense. It's closer to a panic attack. The dog genuinely can't regulate without the presence of their attachment figure. It matters because panic can't be trained away directly. You don't teach your way out of a panic response with recall practice or sit stays. But here's the thing: true separation anxiety isn't as common as the label suggests. What most owners are actually dealing with is one of three things that look similar and get called the same name: isolation distress, boredom-driven behavior, or frustration. All of them are distinct and all require a different approach. And treating the wrong one doesn't help at all. Isolation distress is a dog who struggles to be alone but is fine with any human company, not just specifically yours. Leave with a friend, fine. Leave with a dog walker, fine. All the problems just disappear. This dog isn't panicking about you specifically. They're struggling with the absence of any human presence at all. Same presentation on the surface, but very different cause and a completely different fit. Boredom-driven behavior is exactly what it sounds like: an understimulated dog with no structured outlet and nowhere to burn their energy. They often look calm when you leave and don't start until they've been alone for a while. The chewing, the barking, the destruction tends to show up after an hour or so rather than immediately on departure. The Kong and radio advice actually can help here a little bit. Not because it addresses anxiety, but because it provides what the dog was missing. Frustration's the most misdiagnosed of all of them. These dogs have been allowed, usually unintentionally, to treat owner presence as something that they control themselves. They've learned that certain behaviors produce contact, that following you around works, that pawing works, that escalation works, barking works. Separation becomes a frustration response rather than a panic response. These dogs often show their worst behaviors right at the point of departure or within the first few minutes. Can also show problem behavior around the home when the owner's present, but unavailable. The behaviors across all three can look identical: barking, self-destruction, toileting inside when they're normally clean dogs. The difference is in the detail, the timing, the history, the dog's response to different management approaches. Getting this wrong means treating the wrong thing for months while the real problem either stays or usually gets worse. The standard advice for separation anxiety circulates because it's not wrong for some dogs in some context. When you build up your departures gradually, it works. It's a good technique. Also, environmental enrichment helps frustrated and bored dogs, but none of this addresses the underlying nervous system state of a dog in genuine panic. And for dogs dealing with frustration-based behavior, some of this advice makes it much worse. Teaching a dog that departures come with a special treat, for example, can reinforce the departure as an event that dog focuses on and responds to, which is the opposite of what you want. The other problems what owners aren't told to address: the relationship they had before the problem started, the dog's general capacity to regulate its own mind, their baseline arousal across the day, whether calm's ever been trained and rewarded in the house at all, whether the dog's been unintentionally trained into always depending through patterns of interaction that felt natural and kind, but built a dog who genuinely can't cope without a human around. These things don't come in a leaflet. They don't come from someone who's actually looked at the dog deeply. What actually helps starts with accurate identification of the problem. You don't know which problem you have, you're guessing at solutions. For isolation distress, the work's about building genuine independence, structured alone time practiced at home, with a human present but unavailable. The dog learns to be self-sufficient in the presence of people before that work gets extended to true absence. For boredom-driven behavior, the answer is exercise, mental stimulation, and structured enrichment. It's not a psychological problem, it's a needs problem, and it responds quickly when those needs are actually met. So for the frustration-based behavior, it's all about restructuring the relationship dynamic before doing anything about the departures. That means removing the patterns of behavior that taught the dog that escalation produces the contact. Build genuine settled behavior as a rewarded state, and then working on the departures in a completely calm and unremarkable way. No ritual, no loaded goodbye, no arrival that makes you return the biggest event of the dog's day. If your dog struggles when you leave, the starting point is figuring out what you're actually dealing with. The label of separation anxiety is applied so broadly that it's almost meaningless without more investigation. Watch the behavior very closely. When does it start? Is it specific to you or to anyone? Is it immediate or is it delayed a little while? Is there a pattern around your departure routine? Video your dog whilst you're gone if you haven't already. What you see will tell you more than any label will. And if you've been working on this for months without any meaningful progress, get a proper assessment from someone who'll actually look at your specific dog rather than just prescribe the general generic protocol that they give to absolutely everyone. These dogs can all be helped, but the help has to be built around the actual problem, not about the assumed problem. Subscribe if you want more of this. I'll be posting a lot about dog behavior and things that are misunderstood the most from someone who works with these cases every single day.